for those listening, The Heart of Katherine, you will be familiar with Marty's song. This is Evergreen.
When the road gets hard to see, when I'm falling on my knees, you'll be here with the light on.
Such a beautiful song, Marty. I love it.
Thank you.
It's really good. You've done so well. You've got quite a few tracks under your belt now, which we'll talk about. But I would love to start with how The Heart of Katherine got its name.
Yeah.
Because it's such a great story.
Yeah, cool.
So tell us.
Yeah, it was a little while ago now. So I was living in Sydney.
Yeah.
I'd moved over there back in, I think it was, 2012 maybe, a little while ago.
Yeah.
And I wanted a name for the band or for my music. I didn't actually have any band or anything at the time. It was all just a big dream in my head. And so I was walking through a suburb in Sydney one time, and there was a guy busking on the street, and he was singing his heart out, like really putting everything into it. And I love that kind of stuff. I've always had a background in busking and doing stuff ground roots. And for some reason, this guy like really intrigued me because he wasn't singing in the middle of the city. He was singing in a suburb, an area where there wasn't that many people around.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so it was really like kind of quite a
Just
quiet.
really stood out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what's this guy up to? And I was actually out there for a job unrelated to music. And I was like, had a bit of free time, and I was like, I'm going to go and have a chat with this guy and find out his story. And so we got speaking, and sometimes you can just like meet a stranger and you have a really cool connection with them just straight away.
Yeah.
And because he was pouring his heart out in his music, it was quite easy to do that. And we got talking, and I asked him about what like motivated him to sing and that sort of thing. And pretty soon in the conversation, it got a bit sad because he was saying that his wife wasn't well. His wife had been diagnosed with quite a serious like sickness, and but the reason why he would sing on the street was that he wanted to it uplifted him from the whole situation, and that he would just pour his heart into music, and that would give him hope.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. And I just really loved that message of, because music's always been something like that for me too, just like a thing that, when you're singing or when you listen to music, you can escape life.
Yeah.
And he I asked him what's his wife's name, and her name was Katherine. Yeah.
Aww.
And so then I was like, I'm going to get my songs on the radio one day, and would you mind if I call my band The Heart of Katherine? And he agreed. So
Oh, that's
That's
amazing.
yeah.
What a cool story. I love it. Now, I also read a social media post of yours. It was from a little while ago. And in the post, you said that when you're like 14, you really wanted to have your songs on the radio, on TV, but a lot of people put you down. So what would you say to somebody who is, a musician, they're kind of young and they have these big dreams? I mean, it's kind of hard when you hear people saying, nah, that's a hard road, a musician. You can't be a musician. I mean, what would you say to somebody now with the knowledge that you have?
Oh, you have to create time for the things that matter. You have to. If you've got on your heart that you want to be a musician, then spend some time doing that. I can't say, I wouldn't want to say to people, go and do it and your dreams will come true, because that's not how it works. And it's been a real long journey. For me, like I actually studied to be a lawyer. And
Oh, right. Wow. Okay.
I am a lawyer, which is pretty.
That's your day job?
So yeah, it has been in my life, balancing like music and other things, because to solely rely on music today's day and age, unless you like Ed Sheeran or like Coldplay or something, it's hard. But to people who want to go for their dreams, do it, and just make sure that you block out, I suppose, the negative voices, and have people that you trust around you that you can that you can listen to that are going to encourage you. Because New Zealand's full of like the tall poppy thing.
Oh, are we ever? Yeah, it's hard going, isn't it? When you do have this big dream and you just hear all the negative voices, it's pretty tough going. It's a lonely road. Yeah. How would you describe your music? Because it is, I guess it's quite mellow. The ones that we play are mellow. What sort of messaging or what are you hoping to achieve with your music?
Well, so for me, I never came into music with the intention of writing Christian songs. I've always written songs from the basis of like, they're just a diary for me. So like, it probably gives you some context to see that when I'm writing songs, my part in the project, so you hear this like full sound, right? My part of the project is writing the lyrics and writing the melodies and the chords and structuring the songs. So like, if it was a house, I'd be like putting up the framework.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and then I rely on other people to dress the songs up to make them sound super cool.
Yeah.
And there's some really talented people that are part of these projects, the part of the songs. That they wouldn't sound like they would unless I worked with them. So I have to give a shout out to a couple of people here actually.
Go on then.
Yeah, Nate Rapana, who did the production on Follow and Evergreen, and my friend Johnny Avery, who did the production on Glow. And they're incredible people and talented, and working with them is amazing. Anyway, I've gone off topic. What you asked is where do I want to go with it and what is it for me, I think. And for me, like, it's always just been a way to express like my faith and my story of faith. And so sometimes it's going to be like, I have some songs that are like, you're wonderful, oh my God, you're wonderful. And they're quite like directive of like praying to God and being in awe. There's other songs that, not these ones that you've heard, I don't think Evergreen and that are like this, but there's other songs that really just like explore my questioning and give me a space to write questions.
Right. Because you have a song called My Salvation, which is playing on mainstream radio, and I've seen you sort of talk about that song. So can you explain what that song is about and what is it doing on mainstream radio? Because it's about like your faith in God, right?
Yeah, actually Follow was also on ZM too.
Oh wow, that's
so cool.
That one sounds a bit like this. I've got that here.
Join the ride to the place where the angels.
That's great. What a cool vibe. I love it. So tell us about My Salvation.
Yeah, so that one, so I grew up in a Christian family, but it was always very like, you go to church because it's a tradition. And I kind of walked away from faith when I was in my teenage years, and I kind of just did things my own way. And My Salvation was actually, I was in a hostel. I had actually left my job at a law firm to like go full time into music.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Big step.
It was a big step, and it was a very scary step, and it was a step where I like taking that step actually led me, this is kind of ties into My Salvation. Why I'm telling you this is that like it led me to learn to have to trust in God. And I remember I was so freaked out when I left that job at the law firm to no job, like I didn't have anything lined up. And I remember just being in my room in that and where I was living, and just being like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, I had this like idea, like, okay, I'm gonna make these songs, and I had them like, you know, some lyrics written on some paper and a few melodies, but nothing had come together. And I'm like, God, like, I'm trusting. I have to trust in you. And it was one of the first times that I experienced, like, I felt like God spoke to me. And I remember I couldn't sleep that night, and my arms just went up in the air, and I was just like, God, like, what is this? And I felt him sort of say, not speak verbally, but it was like a knowingness in my heart of like, I'm going to give you a journey in music.
Wow.
But that's not going to be to glorify you. It's to glorify me, God.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I'd love to hear more about that. So will you stick around for a couple of minutes and share a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Fabulous. This song is Glow by the Heart of Katherine, and we've got the man behind the Heart of Katherine in studio, Marty Bryant. It's so nice to have you in here.
Thanks for having me.
So we have talked a little bit about where the Heart of Katherine came from.
Yeah.
One thing I was very interested to know is it's all very well having these really great songs, right? You've gone to all the effort of writing it out. You've got the musicality. You know, it's all sounding fabulous. How do you then get it onto the radio? What happens next?
That's one of the biggest challenges that I think young artists coming up and they face, because there's so much media out there right now.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I have no idea. But when I was releasing my first EP, I did the headphone tour, and I didn't have a full band or anything at the time, and I was just like, gosh, I've got these songs, and I know my mum likes them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good tick of approval there.
Yeah, and my brother likes them, and if I put them on social media, that's pretty much the only people that will hear them.
Right.
So
So you launched the headphone project.
Yeah.
So how did that work?
So I got the songs, put them on a phone with some headphones. Actually, it was these headphones. I've still got them.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool.
And I went up basically and just sampled the music with people, and it was the first time that I had played my songs through headphones to people in person. And so I decided, look, I'm just going to be brave, go up to a couple of people in the mall and say, hey, my name's Marty. I'm releasing some new music. Do you mind taking a listen? And feel free to share what you think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That takes a bit of courage, doesn't it?
That's guts.
It was scary.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, I'm just not going to tell people that it's me.
What do you think of this artist?
Yeah. Yeah. I did that for the first few because I was like, oh, if they say something mean, then this is going to really put me off.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I did that, and then I got really nice comments.
Great.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to tell people that it's me now.
And so people liked it, and then how did it go from there to getting it on the radio? How does that work?
So I got 2,000 emails by walking around. So I came from Wellington. I went to all around Wellington area, Palmy University, Massey University in Auckland, just talking to people. Every time I talked to them, I said, hey, on the 14th of July, I'm going to release this song, and I'd like to send it to you before I release it. And instead of me releasing it, I would ask if you can release it for me. And they'd be like, what's that mean? I was just share it with anyone you want to. I think at the time I was like, tag 5 people, please. And just quite specific. But I got 2,000. I had that conversation 2,000 times.
And then you started getting calls from radio stations, and that's amazing. That's awesome. We've got 1 minute left, and I know Josh has got a question for you.
I do, and I'm very excited because last night something really cool happened. You were a part of the Shine-a-thon, which is happening at the moment. You performed a new song called Come As You Are. Now, I understand it's not yet recorded, but, mate, we're very excited. Those emails, I mean, if I had been a part of that, I would have been emailing through. Is there any news on new music coming out soon from the Heart of Katherine?
Yeah, there is. There's a few plans underway. There's a couple of songs that are like in the pipeline, Come As You Are, and which I played last night, and a new one that's kind of like more upbeat because, so there's 2 coming, but I don't have a date that I can give you yet.
Okay. We'll keep our ears to the ground. And,
We definitely will. Well, we have run out of time, Marty, but it's been so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming in. The latest song that we have got here is Glow, and we've run out of time to play it, but I will definitely be playing it after the 8 o'clock news. But thank you so much for coming in, and have all the best with your career. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.